Hi, Gary. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Capucine. Thank you so much for having me. It is a wonderful day to be able to sit and talk with you again. It's been such a long time.
Yeah. So the moon is in Scorpio. We're both Scorpios. Our suns are
So
conjunct one another. So
I know. Of course, we would be doing this today. It makes the most sense for us to be doing this on this day when the moon is in Scorpio. One, two, Scorpio season is right around the corner. I was doing all of my podcast preparation for the next episode. I know that a lot of signs are going to be transiting into Scorpio very soon, like Mercury being Scorpio and stuff. So it's getting really close to our time. Time to rise.
finally.
Been waiting all year for this. Like in the midst of all this craziness, it's like, oh, Scorpio season always makes me feel at peace and at home. I'll even say Libra season adds a little bit to the spice too. Like I feel like this is around the time of the year where I'm like, okay, I'm coming back to myself. I see myself again. So it feels nice to be at this place in the year. And also, I think you can identify with this, knowing that better is coming and knowing that things are about to ground themselves out in a way is just continuing to fight through it.
Yeah, I like that. And even with Libra season, it feels like we're about to rein in back society and bring some justice and just balance everything out and then skim out the 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 toxic thing with Scorpio season and just enter a new cycle, just do the whole thing. And you just said, before our conversation, we talked together and you just said September is a number 9 month. So
Mm-hmm.
endings.
Endings, transformation, completion. It's what are some of the things, because this year has been absolutely wild, personally, globally, it's just been a very crazy year. But it's what are the realizations that you've had up until this point about who you are, what's going on around you, and what you want to see yourself in, the spaces you want to see yourself in, the people that you want to be having these types of conversations with, the growth that you want to have, and how can you insert yourself there and firmly plant yourself in this new reality and continue living on in that. And I think that there's this sense of confidence, at least for me, that's coming at this time of the year, because it's you've seen all of what does not work. You've seen all of what has taken your energy. You've seen everything that has not made you feel grounded. And now you get to figure it out again, but from this ascended state, as I like to say, of awareness.
I love that. And you're a Pisces rising, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so for you, it's you're entering the time where the sun is going up towards your MC. So it's all about the light shines on you. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
I think I was wrong with the astrology, right?
I'm
The sun
actually,
is
I was about
another
to
part
say,
of the world, but yeah.
I was about to say, to be quite honest, because I always tell people I am not I'm not the astrology girl. I was like, okay, the MC. I was like, I think that's what does that say? That's the midheaven? No, is that? I
It
don't
is, it
know.
is, it is. And I was right, actually. I was right. We're opposite one another. I'm a Virgo rising. So for you, the sun is gonna it's
Mm.
crossing that part where it's in the sun. And for me, I'm entering my night. So yeah.
That makes perfect sense, because as I'm I guess connecting this naturally around this time of the year for me, this is where I start to feel my energy rise, or just my sense of self, it starts to come back. And I don't know if that's because another revolution around the sun, getting older, but it's just always felt between this time, September to about November, I start to see myself in a different way and fully embody that without fear around what it could be taken as or how other people may receive it. It's no, you're doing this for you. You are this way. Really enjoy that and really take that on, instead of being shy or being scared of what the response is going to be. This is your season. So I'm okay, let's do it.
That's amazing. That's so good. All right, good. Well, I cannot wait to see you shine.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's going to be a great time of the year for the both of us. I already have a good feeling because both of us got these birthdays coming up. So.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what I feel is when you were talking, I was just getting this idea. But Scorpio season is giving the entire world our usual energy. So whatever action we've been wanting to bring about is being pushed forward and helped with the entire world for us to finally do what we've been seeing, what we've been thinking about, all those things. So cool.
I like that. Listen, because now I'm like, okay, so what are you focused on, or what is kind of like your energy been, I guess, like centered around as far as like what you are bringing to this world, like that sense of like endings, beginnings, like rebirth, like transformation, like rising from the ashes. I know that that has got to be rising up in you as well. So how do you see that, like, I guess, interacting with everybody else, like in your space?
Well, very deaf card, like very
Mm-hmm.
on a knight, like on a horse as a
Mm-hmm.
knight, and like
Mm-hmm.
ready to. Um, I'd love to say like ready to bring about the end of a chapter or things like that, but it also feels like stepping into my own shoes and like do like walking on my own path instead of trying to preach about to others or any kind of other thing.
Yes.
Like I don't have influence on others. I'm just going to do my own thing, right?
Yes. Oh, you just spoke to my heart with that so deeply. That's been like I think, I don't know if this resonates for you, but it feels like that's what this year has been like. Like, I can only do me and I can only be me. And it's like the legacy that I leave is going to be the legacy that I leave regardless. So how can I just embody that? How can I live in my truth and let that shine 100% without overthinking what is coming out of my mouth, overthinking how others are going to receive it, feeling like I should know more than I do know. And it's just like, no, like you're still in this process of like learning, appreciating, taking these lessons and like being able to like incorporate them into your own life. And if you can see that for yourself and other people see that, that's cool. But that's not the point. Like, it's really about like, what am I focused on for my own personal healing, my own personal growth, and my own personal happiness. And if that touches somebody else along the way, then fantastic. But all I can do is continue to be transparent in that journey and transparent in the change that it has provided for me.
Yeah, we have no control, like absolutely no control on whatever happens.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. That's a reality, okay? No control at all. Just gotta go with the flow. This year's been hugely like, just let the waters flow, go with the flow, see what comes your way. And everything always ends up turning out, for the better, as long as we keep that in our mindset.
Yeah, but the mindsets sometimes they go away. Do you want to talk about that? Like the fact that sometimes we
Oh
reach
my,
a level and then it just crumbles down and you're like, how the fuck did I reach that level? I don't remember.
yo, that is so crazy that you say that, because in my mind, it's like, it takes a lot of work. It's a choice to stay in that mindset. It's a choice to like actually as I like to say, log into the server every day. Like, I have to log into the server of positive thinking. I have to log into the server of meditation. I have to log into the server of knowing that like, you got it going on, girl, like, and really choose that every single day. And sometimes in some days we don't have it to choose. We don't, it takes a lot more work. And it's just like, okay, like, I can't do it today. Am I going to beat myself up about this? Am I going to feel frustration because I can't grab onto that right now? Or am I just going to accept it and learn from whatever this like gray space that I'm floating in is? And if I can learn to accept those days that things are not grounded, things are not clear, then I can accept the days where everything is like all cylinders are firing off. I feel connected. I feel good and grounded and ready to go. And it's just like learning that choice to choose, growth, and to choose optimism, and to choose like moving forward is really something that you have to physically, mentally, like spiritually want to choose on a regular basis. And I think that takes work to know that as well.
Definitely. Thank you for saying this. To
Yeah.
me,
How about
yeah, I realized that been overextending myself with work, with traveling, and with like just going on my journeys. And
you?
of
Mm-hmm.
course, my body got super tired and I didn't follow my intuitions on some point. And I'm like, well, because even following your intuition is a privilege. It's a privilege to how your mental mind is happening. Like, are you exhausted? Are you working 5 jobs? Are you taking care of so many people? Like,
Right.
following your intuition, trusting your guts is, you actually have to have the space in you to actually hear what your gut is saying, what your intuition
Mm-hmm.
is saying. So that even
Mm-hmm.
is a, like, I want to say a privilege, but it also means that you've got to rest if you can, and that kind of lifestyle of being conscious, um, it costs a lot. It's so expensive.
It does. It does. And it's like the toll that it has on the physical body too, like being aware of what that feels like is another level of awareness that I feel like people are all growing into having if they choose to. Cause some people don't want to have that awareness. It scares them. It, makes them feel as though they're just really like paying attention, maybe a little paranoid about everything that's going on around them. But it's like, no, like you're super in tune with yourself. And I think that is a decision that a lot of people struggle to make because it comes with a level of is a weight that's attached to it, and sometimes people don't want to do that. Like that feels like, oh my god, like I should be living life, I should be enjoying life, like I'm doing all this thinking, all this like overthinking, what have you. And it's like, no, like this is really how you can live life to the fullest if you truly like listen to yourself and listen to your body and like what it needs, and it helps to guide you in the direction of your dreams and your desires. But it's about trusting yourself and trusting that you have that internal knowledge and that internal awareness, and that takes a variety of different steps to get to that place, a variety of different deaths, a variety of different rebirths. And it's just like you start to learn your body in a new way the older that you get. And I feel like everybody either A, doesn't have the time to do it, or B, is just like they're still learning what those natural nudges for themselves are. And then also trusting yourself with that.
Exactly. And
Mm-hmm.
like that's where I'm starting to see like the fact that we, and like for example I do have a use to this world, because we really need guides, we really need people to help us, to motivate us and show us a new
Yes.
way. Like your talks, your Sunday talks, they help us to see a new perspective on things that we didn't think about because we didn't have it. So when you do that,
Mm.
when you share your words, your energy, your smiles, it helps. It really
Thank,
helps to be enticed into going into it again. Thank you.
thank you for that. No, I appreciate that. And I also feel like, I think in my mind, like those discussions for me are healing because it takes like you taking yourself out of like what's going on in front of you and being able to be like, this is what's happening. This is my reality. You may be experiencing this reality, you may not be, but I can still learn something from talking this out and it resonating with you. And it's just like, it clicks. This is the reason why I'm supposed to be here having this conversation. This is the reason why I'm having this realization. What do I do with it now? What direction do I take this realization? And do I let it, make me feel less than? Do I allow it to drain me, or do I look at this as motivation to keep going? And something that you said, it makes me think of just like not codependency, but just like knowing that we have other people around us to help us to motivate ourselves and just like stay grounded and stay like focused. And it's just like sometimes we have that and we can do it for ourselves, but sometimes we need other people to like encourage us or just like be there like in community, so let us know like the direction that we're going is the right direction. But we would never know that if we didn't open up enough to talk about these things and have and share that space. And I don't know, I look forward to being able to share that space even more with other people, and other people like opening their doors up to have those types of conversations for their own personal growth too. Because I feel like that's kind of like what allows us to connect, as humans and really see each other.
Yeah, definitely. Like I
Mm-hmm.
see it as options. We're showing each other different options, and then you get to pick which game you want to play in. And then,
Yeah.
okay, let's believe that abundance is this or whatever peace is like, and then we try things, and then it also falls out, right? Like there's people
Mm-hmm.
you followed them in the first years of, and then you don't resonate anymore, and you just move
Mm-hmm.
on to new people, new things.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that there's the people that I followed in my first years, like 2016, those first podcasts, those first people talking about conscious life. And I
Mm-hmm.
really enjoy going back and being like, oh, that's where I was. That's cute. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's super helpful to have like those. It's interesting you talk about like, we grow out of people at certain points because it's just like we've hit our, not necessarily our max, but it's like I've received everything that I needed to receive in this very moment. Like this relationship was great, but I also feel like I just need something new, something, a different little spice, like based on where I am in my conscious living, based on where I am and what I'm experiencing. Like I'm not experiencing some of the same struggles that I was experiencing this time last year, some of the same mentalities I was experiencing this time last year. And now I'm looking for additional physical guides to assist in that journey based on, how I found myself out even more. Like I'm so much more aware of the things that make me tick. I'm so much more aware of like why my energy may feel drained doing certain things, or maybe certain things that I was doing last year when it came to like content creation or just like connecting with others. And it's like, not necessarily I don't believe those same things, but they don't resonate the same way anymore. Like the way in which I may do, you know, spiritual work, the way that I may connect with others, it's changed, it's transformed, and it's more directed, you know? So it's like you find people who are headed the same direction as you, as I like to think of them, like your soul tribe, because your soul tribe is always like evolving and they're always like changing. And it's just like you get even closer to what feels like it is your specific path, the more that you start to like really struggle and tussle with those thoughts and tussle with those feelings. And it's like you start meeting new people, and you also have grace and gratitude for the folks that helped you to get to where you are along that path at this point.
Yeah, that's amazing. I have this
Mm-hmm.
image. Someone said like there's someone on every step. Like there's no hierarchy, you know, no steps higher, but there are guides for every step of the way, and we are those guides, right?
Yes, yes, exactly. It doesn't, it feels like it comes with like a pressure sometimes, at least for me. Does it feel like it comes with like a pressure, like a weight at times for you? Or do you kind of like take it on and be like, oh, I feel good about this?
It used to come, it comes sometimes, but I'm trying to really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I just naturally want to express things. It's not
Same.
it's not like I want to guide people, right? I do think
Mm-hmm.
that every human is a guide, so I'm not just saying like us as spiritual workers, right? I do think that we're
Yes.
all like just pinpoints on the map of wherever that world looks like, and
Mm-hmm.
that means we are guides saying like the direction to this is there and there and there. I've been there. That was cool. Review
Yeah.
on Yelp, but um, yeah, I used to pressure myself a lot. And I've done things like, for example, even just like a podcast interview or like Zooms or
Mm-hmm.
my retreats. Like I've pushed myself to be like in presence of, you know, 10 people, 15 people, 30 people, like talking to all those people at once. That's not my comfort zone. So I proved myself that I'm able to
Mm-hmm.
do those things, but doesn't mean that I really enjoy
Yes.
them. It drains me. So I'm reconfiguring
Yes.
how I do this work based on pleasure and, you know, experience for people and me. But yeah, it was a good
Mm.
year, like a good experimental year. But now I'm just going back to writing and like what the things I really want to do. So yeah. What about you?
Living my life. I was like, you are exactly like we are exactly on the same page right now. It's like it's been a great year. It's been an amazing year. It's been a year of like the things that you didn't know that you could like materialize, like the things that you didn't know that you could manifest. It's like it all came true. It all came to pass. But then it's like, where am I finding joy again? Like, where am I finding happiness in this experience and in my sharing? Because it's like the sharing should also, that's the whole reason why we share, because we enjoy it. It's what feels innately comfortable for us to talk about our experiences and talk about our lives, because there's, you know, everybody's life is special. Everybody's journey is very unique. And there's something in the connection and the explanation of those journeys and those lived experiences that help us to feel connected to community. And it's like, what do I feel excited to share? What brings me joy in the work that I do? And how can I enhance that aspect of it? So it's been very much like going back to the drawing board. Like for the last couple of months, like I took a lot of time off from doing like spiritual work, like doing readings for people, like doing videos and stuff like that. A lot of like that external, like I guess like the external visuals and stuff like that. I really just needed to focus on me. Naturally, during like the summertime, I've noticed that that's a time where I get very like insular. And it's like I start thinking about like, well, why are you doing this? Who are you? Who do you want to show up as when the fall comes? Like, what is it that you're working on and what feels good? And I think like getting back to that ground level of like, you just enjoy the journey and you enjoy talking to people on the journey, and really get into like that core has been super important for me. So that's why I like put a lot of the tarot cards away when I'm doing like videos and stuff like that. It's just been more about me just like speaking about what life is. And if that resonates with you, then cool. But if it doesn't, then that's cool too. It's all about like, if it works for me and it works for you, then dope. But if it doesn't, then that's okay too. And there's no harm, no foul, no ill will. It's just all good. It's like we're still loving each other, you know, and we can still gain from this conversation, this experience together.
I love that. I was thinking about this today because I was watching a video by Anthony Ramos. He's a singer
Mhm.
and actor, and he was just doing his latest video for James Corden, and he was singing, and he, like, you can see he really enjoys what he does, and the energy is
Mhm.
totally different between someone who sings to make money or whatever, and someone who's really into it, and he can't stop smiling. The guy is just like this. He's a Scorpio as well, so good on
Mm.
Scorpios, but yeah, I was just like, oh my god, like I just discovered his work like a few weeks ago, and I was like,
Mhm.
the energy is so powerful for me. I just
Mhm.
love watching what he does because I want to be so passionate about my work and share that
Yes.
energy with others. So yeah, that's how it felt when you
Totally.
talked.
Yeah. Thank you. No, that's totally how it feels. It's just like I want to share the joy. You know what I mean? And I want to share like the revelations that have brought the joy to allow that to potentially like bring joy to you. Because when I feel like when you see somebody else that's like shining and see somebody else that is like making stride in their life, big or small, it brings you happiness. So it's like sharing that and like maybe turning the light on in somebody else for them to be able to turn the light on in another person. Like I feel like that's what the human experience, that's what love truly is. So it's like if we can turn each other on in that way and like really light each other up in whatever, you know, in whatever capacity, then I'm all for it. I love that double entendre of turning, you know, turning folks on. It's, you know, Scorpio vibes.
Scorpios, but also look at us being Scorpios and talking about sharing joy.
Yeah.
They think we're, super sad and super brooding, but no, we're just intense
Mhm.
about the quality of life we want to experience.
Amen. Oh, that's a word in itself. Like you talking about the quality of life. That's a thing that I've been thinking a lot about lately. Like, how can I live life to the fullest? And what are some of the things that have been distracting me from doing such? Whether it comes from the outside or whether it's coming from inside. I recently went to Portland, Oregon, to go visit a friend of mine. This was like sometime like last month, and in that time, like getting out of New York City was so nice because it was just like everything is moving slower here. You get to like see the trees, you get to go on these bike rides, you get to do all of this stuff like outside, and it just felt like things slowed down in a sense for me around like, well, what do you really want out of life? You know, what are some of the things that you may have been getting lost in the hustle and bustle and trying to just like survive? How can you switch it to thriving right now? And how can you allow what you're thriving in to, you know, manifest itself and help things grow for a better foundation? And then also see, you know, other people having that growth and having that foundation change as well. It's like, what does life really deserve to feel like every day? And how do you find joy in it instead of like thinking about all these different anxieties that come up, you know, as we go through this lived experience, trying to figure it out.
Thank you. Thank you so much for
Mhm.
sharing this.
Yeah.
I felt the same, like we had to survive lockdown, like intense lockdown, and now we're out, and it's all about like, oh God, I've been surviving my whole life. Let's just start
Mm-hmm.
living, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's a choice. That's a hard choice too, you know, because it's like I think that goes back to that mindset and that mentality. Like you have to really like choose that every day, like choose thriving instead of just surviving. And it's like, well, what does that feel like? And then really dropping into the body and being like, well, what does that feel like for me at this very moment in time? Is thriving like me sitting up and working on a manuscript? Is me thriving right now just sitting and binging a television show? Is me thriving right now just being grateful for the fact that I can sit in this house? Everything is paid off right now. Like, you know what I mean? And I feel good about where I am, even if things aren't like 100% great, like I'm still thriving because I'm still here. And it's like, oh, okay, like this is what it means to be conscious. This is what it means to be aware. And what do I do with this awareness? Is it a joy? Is it a detriment? And like, how can I focus more on the joy that is going to come and how that can like mount itself even more as, you know, we continue to grow.
Thank you. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about returning back to like living, not even spirituality, just like living.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the fact
Mm-hmm.
that you dropped the tarot card on your lives. Like, have you been touching
Mm-hmm.
your tarot cards during the summer? Have you been
I would say
connecting?
like the summer was, I would say, like a hard no. It felt like this sense of needing to pull away from the external validation. It was like you have the answers within you. You have the knowledge within you. Why are you questioning that? Just ask yourself and like sit with it. And if it doesn't, manifest itself into roses, like that's okay, but you don't need the additional assistance in that. Like, I think it was more of like this sense of trusting yourself this summer, and also just like trusting the knowledge that you have within you in order to make decisions. And I think a lot of the time, because my journey with tarot was, I found it very therapeutic. So for me, like I started pulling tarot cards because I was just like, I'm depressed. This was like a couple years ago. I was like, I'm depressed. I just need to have some guidance for my day. And it started off as like, okay, like this is what I can use to kind of like ground myself. But I think over the last, because I've been doing so much work with like others and like, sharing, I guess like tarot with the world, it was like, okay, but like, girl, like, do you really trust yourself and trust what you know? Like, can you sit and ask yourself these questions that you normally would like ask the cards in order to like ground your energy throughout the day? Like, you've learned how to do this. So for me, like this summer specifically, or like, I would say probably from about like April to, we'll say like maybe August or something like that, was very much like, don't touch them. You don't need that. You don't need that energy right now. Just trust yourself and listen to yourself, and things are going to fall into place. So I don't know if that was just like a me thing or other people were feeling that, because I did hear like a lot of other people who have decks were just like, I'm not pulled to them right now. They're just here. Like I can use it ever so often, but if I did use any deck, there was a shamanic medicine oracle deck that I used, because it gave guidance for the soul. And it was more like, this is what I need to focus on as far as like actual tangible actions in this very moment in time. So that would be what I would use, but that would be maybe like once or twice over the course of the summer. But it very much felt like, no, like you have the answers encoded within you. Just listen to that. I did do maybe like a reading or two here or there. And like, the other interesting thing about that, now that I say that, is there would be times where it felt good doing the reading, and then there were times where it just felt so off. It was like, with this person and this energy, like on this day, you feel like you're in it. But then when you're doing it for this capacity or with this person, like what is it that feels, it feels like a blockage. Like it feels like it's not resonating. It feels like you don't need this at this very moment in time, or this person isn't going to receive it this way. I'm not sure. And I'm still like figuring that energy out. How about you?
Thank you so much for sharing this. That's
Mhm.
kind of the word that I was trying to go into, but I felt like I couldn't share any kind of Reiki energy with anyone. Like it's been
Mhm.
happening during the summer, and then at the end of the summer, I was like, I don't want to tune into your body and feel your illness and your ails and your
Yes.
mindsets. Like I don't want to go into it. I just want to be in my body right now. Just like, okay.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that is so true, because I think for me, like now that you talk about like tuning into your own energy and being aware of your own energy, that makes me think about how I've even, I guess, like transitioned mentally when it comes to like pulling tarot. Like, a lot of the times people call in their ancestors, call in their guides, call in, God. For me, it's been a lot of just like asking my higher self, like, what do I in the future? What do I need? What are you trying to say to me at this very moment in time, based on your knowledge, based on your awareness? Like, how can you help guide me in this moment to get me to that place? And it's like taking it outside of like, the spirits, and taking it outside of like, the gods that we know that exist, and really just like making it centric on self. And it's just like, self, what do you need at this very moment in time to know, so that me today can continue to be present and move forward? And leading from that direction has helped me a lot to like even talk through when I'm pulling cards for myself, or talk through when I'm pulling cards for whatever reason. It's just like, it feels like it connects more, because I feel like it's just like, no, you're channeling your own energy, and it's kind of like on that cycle, instead of like pulling from all these different directions and it gets confusing or gets overwhelming.
That's exactly what I wanted to say when I was saying like spirituality is just like going away. Like it feels like we need to be
Mm-hmm.
more contracted in order to fix our own things and not go look outside and not go look into the Five of Wands or whatever, like all those archetypes, all those cards, they
Mm-hmm.
don't really exist within your aura, within your storylines. And yeah, just like,
Mm-hmm. I feel that completely. I feel like the language, because some people can talk in tarot, like they can like explain things in like tarot card meanings, and I'm just like, it just doesn't resonate with me anymore. It's like, no, like I feel like, based on, I think, my own understanding of like the cards, and also like my own understanding of my life, some things will resonate, some things won't. And I think like accepting that, because at one point it made me feel like I wasn't like a quote unquote good practitioner if I didn't resonate with the cards in that way or what have you. And I'm just like, no, like the way that you speak and the way that the energy speaks to you is different. And that's what you need to accept for yourself. I feel like, especially in this age of social media over the last like couple of years, there is a mentality or a vibration around like using tarot, using spiritual tools that you're supposed to like have. That's kind of, people make you feel like it's like the baseline in order to like do spiritual work or just like even, you know, do work on yourself. And it's just like, no, like you have your own gene code that is working out for you in order to like understand these things. But it takes time with you sitting with yourself and like asking these questions, like really getting to know your own energy and like what works before you can do this for other people, you know, and just like feeling really confident and comfortable in that understanding and that awareness. And I think that, you know, you learn and it takes time. But I definitely feel like these days, you know, I don't need those same tools anymore. I think I've not necessarily outgrown them, but they just don't do the same thing as they used to. And that's okay.
I get it. Like, yes, your body does it. And even like
Mm-hmm.
you know, I've seen your work like with music, with snapping, with your body, like
Yes.
it really does the work.
That's it. The body knows and the body does the work. It's like listening to what the body is saying and like really like listening to what it needs, whether it's movement, whether it's stillness. And it makes me think about when you've done like your light language videos and like your hands moving around and stuff like that. I feel like that in itself is like what just shifts things around, at least for me. It has quite a number of times. And it's like, okay, like these are the skills. This is what we may need to be tapping into. We may not have the language for it 100%. We may not understand it completely, but there's something there. There's something there to dive deeper into. And the more that you let that live and the more that you let that kind of like exist in this timeline and in this experience, then you start to see what your special gifts are. You get to see what actually like feels, that you feel the joy and then you also feel the healing at the same time. And it's like, wow, like this is where I need to resonate and continue to sit because there's something there to like dig deeper into.
Definitely. Like there's so many paths. We can just try
Mm-hmm.
things and then see what sticks, what doesn't. If it also
Mm-hmm.
just doesn't stick for any longer time, it's okay to shift and move on. Like I'm barely using Reiki these days. I'm
Mm-hmm.
all into like trying new things and it's still energy, right? But it's just not
Right.
Usui Reiki. But yeah, I love
Mm-hmm.
going deeper into the distance and trying those new things and testing it out. But yeah.
Amen.
Mm.
How is because you had started using oceanic Reiki and stuff like that. Have you been using that the same, or how have things been going with I guess like that practice? Because I'm really interested.
So, oceanic Reiki is the use of seashells and ocean
Mm-hmm.
energy as a way to give a healing. So, it's a different frequency. And the teacher is Sarah Louise Tisley, who's also the creator. She channeled it and
Nice.
she was on the podcast. And I really wanted to have this experience of being taught by her because I really um, I don't know, I value her way of sharing. I feel this connection with her. So I had level one with her on one-on-one, and it was
Nice.
really, really cool to just have a teacher who's like her, exactly like her.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting level two in 2 weeks, actually. So we will be a group this time, but I'm excited. And it's one of the things that I bring about in sessions when I feel like it, but it's yeah, it's just another way of doing energy healing. Like there's many things. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I really
No, I
rely
love
on just talking to people these days. Like I ask them the questions, and those
yeah.
questions make them heal themselves by finding the truth. And then we breathe. Like breathing is so intense these days. Like
Mm-hmm.
using inhaling and exhaling as an energy healing practice.
It's like that sounds like it's the easiest thing for people, or like in my mind I'm like, oh my god, breathing, like that sounds simple, but it's actually so much more difficult than people realize. Like I think a lot of the times, and I don't know if you do this, I have to like remind myself to like breathe deeply because I'm just like, oh, like you're getting so caught up in whatever's going on or your mind is right, and it's like, no, like just drop in and really just center on your own breath and really just feel what's going on there. And I also love the fact of you saying like the conversations are the healing. It's like you're bringing something to the table, right? And you have something that's on your heart when you're coming for Reiki, when you're coming for Akashic Records reading, when you're coming for like tarot, whatever it is, but you are the person that is in charge of doing the work to heal yourself, you know, and like receiving the healing and being in that frequency of receiving that that clarity. But it takes you kind of like being open enough and wanting to have that guidance, and knowing that it takes you kind of like really just like listening to what's coming up and helping yourself to like break those walls down to get to a place you're like, wow, like if I can do this with you, that means that I can do this with myself. And I can do this like over again and again and again, and then learn something brand new in order to like help heal myself in this new situation. And I feel like that is so important to us as human beings, like recognizing how powerful we are to really just like calm ourselves down and give ourselves the guidance that we need, the peace that we need in order to move forward. I feel like that's what healing truly is. It's like, it's not about a practitioner or somebody coming and telling you what to do. It's about them kind of like grabbing your hand, you know, wrapping you up arm in arm, and then let's get together and talk about it as we like unravel. And now it's like, okay, girl, like I can rub you on your back and then send you on because you got everything you needed. You just needed this moment to talk it out.
I love that. I want to do that with you. Let's go walk in the park.
Oh, listen, it's coming to, as I was about to say, as soon as this lockdown and this pandemic, it's not going to be over, but as soon as things like ease up a little bit, we're going to do it physically and, you know, metaphysically, okay? Because, you know,
We
can do
can
it
meet
like
in the middle, in the ocean.
there you go. Listen, I was about to say that oceanic Reiki may come in handy. I can float
Exactly.
across the water. Give me very Dragon Ball Z vibes where you're floating on a little cloud across the water. That's how I feel like it would be.
God, I hope that's in level to you.
Listen, let me know. I may have to sign up, okay?
Definitely, definitely. I love that. So, would you like to go into, it's not a tangent because we've been talking about this, but the idea that in the end, that was what I was telling you earlier, it's that spirituality is morality. It's just bringing us the time to breathe,
Mm-hmm.
listen, and be human. Again, we don't need to talk about, you know, different alien origins, but just
Right.
like, what's right for me? What's right for
Mm-hmm.
others? What's right for the collective? Am I lying? Am I manipulating anyone? Am I being manipulated? Like, what is
Mm-hmm.
happening right now? Right? We're living in a society that's totally not moral.
Right.
When we see, for example, Trump or, you know, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like people get away with doing really, 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 really bad shit
Mm-hmm.
at all the levels. So I think we need to bring about this, like Pluto in Scorpio generation, like this morality, like
Mm-hmm.
stop harming others, right?
That's a choice too. Like that's a choice to really just like be in that mindset of like thinking about others. And I also feel like this is because I think that I've been having this thought process, especially being like a Black queer man, like living in the United States, like about how there's this sense of paranoia sometimes when I walk out of the house, you know, or this sense of just like, am I going to make it home safe? Like, do I have to think about like the places that I find myself in because of how I occupy my body? And people don't have to go through those thought processes the same way that I do. And I think like choosing to look at another human being or choosing to look at another person and think about, if I do this to me, I would be bothered. So why would I do this to you? It's like being able to put yourself in another person's shoes and really being conscious of the actions that you take when it comes to dealing with another energy. And everybody, I'm not saying they don't do that, but I feel like it sometimes comes as a struggle to like sit and really process those emotions and process those feelings. And sometimes it's because of upbringing, you know, what we've seen, what we've learned, what we've seen other people around us do. So it becomes so easy for us to be unmoral, but then it becomes a question of, well, what is right for you? Do you sit enough and really question what is the right thing for you to do for yourself and for other people around you? And I feel like, especially with the concept of wearing masks, like that's one thing in itself. Like that, I think that is a perfect example of how some people can be self-interested. It's like wearing a mask, as it's been said, is like to protect you, but then also to protect like everybody else around you. And, you know, some people don't want to wear them because they feel like, oh, it's taking away my voice. Like it's taking away my freedom. And it's like, are you still seeing how putting this on could be of benefit, not just to you, but to the other people around you, the other people in your environment, and being concerned about, you know, your fellow brother, your fellow sister. Um, and some people don't even think about it in that way. And I'm just like, well, how can you not, like, you know, like, I think for me, it's just so natural to be concerned about other people and other people's, like, you know, state of mind, their health, like their wellness. But to know that everybody doesn't think that way is, I think, one of the scariest things for me. You know, you never really know what a person is thinking, how a person feels, until you really like talk it out with them. And you don't always have that opportunity to do that.
Exactly. I don't even understand the conversations whether like, are masks even working or not? It's like, the fuck? This is just a mask. We're not asking you to give money. You're just wearing a piece of
Right.
clothes on your face. Like, where is like your liberties? Like
Mm-hmm.
others,
Like
just
how? Like,
others.
how did you even get here?
It's a question of
It's
life
ridiculous.
and death. Just wear the damn thing.
Mm-hmm. To protect you and protect everybody else around you, protect the people that you care about, you know? And it's like, I can get where it is, you know,
And
it's
even people
frustrating.
you don't care about, like even
There
strangers,
you
like
go.
just save them, just protect them. Wear the thing.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like that also comes from, you know, that sense of self-interest and people just like really just being focused on what's in their world, what's in their reality, and that's it. And it's like, if you want to choose to ignore something, people can choose to ignore some of the greatest things, some of the worst things, but it's like, you can't ignore like what's right in front of you when it becomes real. And I think that that's where a lot of people are like struggling right now. Like, what is reality? Like, honestly, like, what is reality right now? Because it's so different, you know. It's very different from anything that we've ever experienced. It's a lot of trial and tribulation. It's a lot of like imbalance. I think imbalance has really become such a stark like reality in people's lives these days, especially with you know, all of the mass murders and the shootings and things like that that have been happening like in the United States. And it's like, okay, so how can we choose as human beings, like in this experience right now, to be grateful for this opportunity to even be here, and then be able to share this with the people around us, being conscious of their life as well. And I feel like that's like the base level of that understanding, but everybody isn't there
Mhm.
at this point. And it's like, how do we rationalize with that? Do we continue? All we can continue to do is like live how we've always lived and be thoughtful of other people and their experiences. But is that enough? You know, it makes me feel like sometimes like, am I doing enough? Like, I know I'm doing the quote unquote right thing, but should I be doing more? How can I, you know, provide more, or be more thoughtful? And always like running through those thoughts is something that's kind of like been on my mind, especially when it comes to morality these days.
I think those people might be so dissociated from their self that they can't
Mm,
even listen to the conscious being like this, you know? We're
yeah.
really resilient, and sometimes being resilient means, yeah, you're surviving, it's good. But sometimes it also means you just dissociate, run away from your own mortality, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you might die also. We're all at risk here, not only elderly or whatever.
Right.
So facing that is difficult, and maybe those people are just trying to not face it, thinking they don't die so others won't die, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know. It's
Don't get caught slipping. That's all I'm gonna say. Because that's
exactly.
the, like, when you first, I think when you make those assumptions, you know, that's kind of like what I think the universe will always try to like gut check you at certain points. It's just like to make sure that you're being conscious and to make sure that you're truly like aware. And I also think it's this sense of like gratitude. Like, I have so much gratitude for the fact that like I'm still physically here. Like, I haven't gotten sick. Like, people around me haven't gotten sick. Like, we're having this conversation. Like, these things, like those moments of gratitude and those moments of appreciation. And it's just like, you can't, because I mean, I'm not the person that can check and be like, well, are you being grateful today? Are you full of gratitude today? But it's also like, no, like, I can be aware of like what's going on with myself and share that with other people around me. And if it resonates with people, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I don't know. It's a hard thing to be in the midst of.
Yeah, I always feel like it's the last time I get to experience this and that. Like I'm really into like today, right now. I
Mhm.
might die. People around me might die. So I'm not even like
Mhm.
grateful. I'm just like registering everything. I'm super present so that I get to see the smiles.
Mhm.
I get to witness people's essence, their energy, and I really record, I take videos with my eyes, with my heart. I just feel them. I'm here. I'm like, might have died 2 weeks ago or a month ago. I'm here right now. That's good.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, and that's so important to just like be in those moments and really like, I love that you say like record with your heart, you know what I mean, because it's just like that is something that you can always drop back into and feel, you can always feel those emotions again in that moment, and just like being able to use that as your, I guess, like baseline, and be like, okay, like things are good, I'm safe, and I'm just continuing on every single day with whatever's kind of like put into my plate, whatever's put in front of me, and appreciating that is major. And I hope that as we continue to go throughout the rest of this year and like moving into next year, I don't want to get there too fast because this year has been super fast already, that we can choose to really just like be present in our emotions and in that moment. And also know that this is what helps us to see each other in a very different way and appreciate life. I also feel like this is just like as I'm getting older, that shit is really important to me, to just like appreciate and value life around me while it's physically still here.
Definitely. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost a lot of people due to death, like grandparents and things. And I've
Mm-hmm.
always knew, like, I always had those psychic moments where like a year before, like, this is the last year. So I
Mm-hmm.
really was really into like, okay, something is gonna happen, so you might be there, like try to be there, enjoy that moment. So it feels like I'm doing this with everyone right now. I'm just like, I have no psychic moment. I don't know if you're still gonna be here, but I'm just gonna act like that now and see that
Yep.
your presence in my life is such a gift. I'm gonna enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
It's gold. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
100%. I definitely feel you on that. That was something, uh, especially since, remember I told you I was talking about that trip that I took to Portland. Like that was one of the things that happened. I've definitely had a couple of losses like during this time period. And it's like, no, like, let me just make time where I can make time for the people in my life that have always been important. Like we all have these moments where, people we love, we don't see eye to eye with them, or sometimes they understand something differently than we do. And it's like, do I want to hold this grudge in my heart, or do I want to hold this resentment towards you or towards the situation that we may have experienced like this year, last year, years ago, whatever? It's like, no, like just be here today. Just be in this moment today and be appreciative of the fact that you can even have a conversation, or just like be able to sit in that same energy with a person that means a lot to you, and like appreciate it in that very like aspect and move forward from that. Like holding on to things is probably it's not the bane of my existence, but it's something that can definitely like take you out of your own divinity. And I feel like that's so important to like be conscious of these days.
Scorpios.
Totally. Totally.
But one of the things that I want to say with like my own self when I feel ashamed of, how I hold on to things, it's the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I want to be loved, and sometimes people hurt me and I feel in danger with them. Like my
Mm-hmm.
inner child feels like they represent danger. So it's all
Mm-hmm.
about having that conversation and being sure that they will not be dangerous later on, and that we understand and that we see eye to eye. So that's one of the things that I wanted to share about Scorpios. Like
Yeah.
if you judge yourself for being broody, like any Scorpio listening,
Okay.
if you judge yourself for holding on to things, having grudges and things like that, well, just see that inside there's just someone who's been hurt and who wants to protect themselves and know that it's not dangerous anymore. And if those people stay on being dangerous, then yeah, you're better off them. So don't judge yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Mm-hmm. Focusing very much on like, I think, what feels right, and what feels, I think this sense of not just even grounded, but just like in this mentality of my heart, my soul, I feel something and I want to be heard in that sense. Like, I don't know if you've been doing a lot of inner child work. I know that for me, that's been like a really huge theme of the last couple of months, and like really talking to that person, really talking to that energy, like, and allowing it to like show up in a lot of like my writing and stuff like that, for them to heal themselves and just be like, all you've ever wanted is to be loved. All you've ever wanted is to be understood. And some of the things that you may have told yourself was to shield yourself from being hurt. But throughout the hurt, this has brought you to another sense of life and another sense of understanding in yourself. And it's helped you to grow. And it's helped you to like find yourself again. And that's the beauty of life, like finding yourself in this new state, in this new way of loving, this new state of awareness and everything like that, and being able to like move forward and sharing that truth with others. Because I feel like, especially like as a Scorpio, like it's hard to share all the time. Like, it's like we have all these feelings, but then it's like you got to prime the person, or at least for me, you got to prime me in order to make me feel like you're listening enough and you're going to resonate with it enough to like listen, so that way I can share and then get to that place of like comfort and understanding. And then it's like, okay, like now my soul is being heard. And even in that moment of just like you really hear me, that's what helps me to feel alive again. That's what helps me to feel like myself again. And it's like, okay, like everything that we have going on within us is meant to be shared in some kind of capacity. You just figure out the way in which it best suits you and who is going to be best receptive towards it. And even if a person isn't receptive towards it 100%, no need to feel shame or no need to feel guilt around that. It's okay, you know?
Exactly. To be heard without judgment or without projections or
Mm.
even solutions, just to be heard.
Amen. It's a blessing. It's a beauty in itself. Like, it's one of the most beautiful things to just like be heard and be seen. I think like that was when I was talking to you earlier about like, you know, coloring my hair. Like I dyed my hair about a week or two ago, and it just feels like, I don't know what it was, but it feels like I take up physical space in a way that I feel like I have not in quite some time. Like I feel like I've actually seen it. I don't know if that's like I don't know what that's a direct reflection of, but it feels like that change helped me to see myself in a different way, and also not necessarily see what others see in me, but just feel like they actually see me taking up space in a different way than I ever have before. And that's really important for me, like moving forward as I like get older, like not being ashamed of taking up space or feeling like I have to like shy away or be invisible. Like I'm like, no, like you're supposed to be here. You can be here. People see you. Let that be. Don't be scared of that. You're allowed to be seen.
You're supposed to be here. That I love that. Like you are here. Not even for a reason
Mhm.
for like the utility of what you bring about as a spiritual worker. Like
Right.
you're here because you have just your space. You're here. Like you're here, you're
Yeah.
alive. That's it.
Mm-hmm. It's a choice. It's a beautiful choice too, you know? It's a wonderful choice. It's like, okay, like I'm ready. Whatever's coming my way, let's do it. But I'm here in this moment because I'm supposed to be here in this moment. And that's that. So I love it.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. Do you have anything
Thank
else you want to talk about? I think I'm complete with all the things I wanted to talk about, and even
you.
surprised with where we went, but thank you so much.
Of course. No, I'm just like thinking about you know, the fact that we're coming up on October, and you know, that's spooky season, spooky month and everything like that. And I'm thinking about like, especially like as Scorpios, like the transformation that is on the way and feeling excitement for what's to come. I don't know if you're feeling that excitement for like what's coming up naturally, like as far as like, you know, October is rolling around. But how are you feeling with like this next month that's like on the horizon for us? Like excited, nervous, like how are things feeling your way?
It feels like home. Feels like going home.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're both Scorpios from the end of October, so it feels like
Yeah.
we're gonna wrap ourselves in blankets or wrap
Mm-hmm.
ourselves with clothes when we go outside. We're less exposed. We're more to ourselves. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like I'm excited. I'm really excited to touch that frequency again and
Yeah.
seeing it with new eyes because the sun is going to illuminate our own, stelliums of planets, our own identity, our
Mm-hmm.
own frequency. So seeing it again with again less judgment, more acceptance,
Mm-hmm.
more marveling at like, woo, we're actually cool. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm excited for the end of the retrogrades.
Whew. Because they've been crazy. They've been crazy. Like all the retrogrades and all the little planetary movements. I'm like, I can't keep up. There's so much going on. Even though it feels like time has kind of like molded itself into one just like continuous timeline of whatever is going on right now, it still feels like with everything that's been happening astrologically or just like, you know, planetary wise, there has been so much change. Like it feels like this year has gone really fast, but it's also been really slow at the same time. Like if you really pay attention to all of the transformations that have been happening. And I feel like as we're coming to October, all I'm really excited about is I feel like I've been working really hard to see myself like again and like really like feel myself again and like really just like embody and encompass all of who Gary DeAndre is and being able to share that without fear and like really being able to trust myself again in a new way is what I'm most excited for as we go like into this next month. It just feels like you said, that frequency is just naturally there. So I'm like, okay, so when you're vibrating and like operating at that frequency, who are you? Like, who is that person? And like, you know, you love them and you appreciate them, but like, how do you share that love and appreciation with everybody else around you that wants to love and appreciate that person too? Like, you don't have to feel shy about being loved and appreciated. And I think that becomes, at least for me, that's been a hard thing, like showing up and allowing that love to come in. And it's like, no, like, you should be feeling that. You should really like encompass and really like let that energy come towards you and see how it feels like from this new state of awareness and this new state of confidence, this new state of like clarity. So I'm excited to see what comes.
Great. Do you feel like the world is about to change, like for you? Not as in coronavirus, but it feels like
Mm-hmm.
there's this impending thing, you know, like that's gonna
Or,
happen, and it's super
oh my
cloudy.
God.
Like we don't know what it is, but feels like everyone's just waiting. Like,
Mm-hmm. Like peeking and looking around. I tweeted this the other day. Like I've been waking up at 5:55 in the morning for the last couple of days. Like since I'd probably say since probably like the new moon hit around that time. And I was just like, I don't know what's going on. Like I can feel it. Like I've been naturally feeling something is like on the horizon. And I don't feel it very often throughout the year, but like at this very moment in time right now, it feels like something big is happening. And I think that the anxiety that I normally would feel about that impending vibration it's not there anymore. Like it's just like, all right, I'm gonna step into it and I'm gonna see what's coming my way. I'm ready no matter what. It is what it is. I'm prepared. It's going to be good. It's going to be great. Let's go, you know? And that's kind of like the mentality that I'm in right now. But I definitely feel like a huge shakeup is on the horizon. And, you know, whatever happens, I'm receptive towards it. Because I know it'll be for, you know, my highest good. Because I set the intention and set like that energy out there to know, like, no matter what happens, everything's going to be okay, you know?
there's no running away from it anyway. We don't have a choice.
Amen. Listen, so it's just like, just let it be because it's going to be what it's going to be regardless. Okay?
Thank you so much. Where can we find you? You talked about your podcast, but tell us everything.
Yes. So you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at GangstaGURRY. I always say gangsta with an A because we don't do that ER shit over here. But you can also find me on Patreon. What I like to do is I like to do a lot of like personal writings and like spiritual writings for like the collective, just kind of like whatever's going on in my mind. So I like to share things there. I also have a podcast, which I will be reaching out to you about in the very near future called Mystic Moments, where I like to bring a little wisdom and mysticism to your week. Is basically like my take on astrology and like spirituality, tarot, things of that nature, and talking about what we can expect over, you know, like the course of 3 weeks astrologically and how that resonates to our personal life. And what are some of the things to kind of just like be on the lookout for as far as transformation is concerned. So yeah, you can find me all on those different things. Mystic Pod on Twitter and Mystic Pod on Instagram as well.
Thank you. And do you offer sessions?
I do not offer sessions right now, actually. My books are closed for the near future. What I would say to anybody that is looking to like work with me or reach out to me, I always say shoot me an email, shoot me a DM, and then we'll see if times align. Thank you for asking me that. Because a lot of people have been asking like, well, are you going to be back online? I'm like, something feels like taper your energy back right now. Like it's not time, like completely. Like it's like you can still do what you're doing, but do it for yourself. Don't be concerned about everybody else's energy right now. So not right yet, maybe close to the end of the year, top of the new year. But for right now, we're just going to say, holla at your girl on social media.
And go on Patreon. Support
Yes,
you.
there
Yeah,
you go. Mm-hmm.
that's amazing.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
this.
so much. Thank you so much for being here. I was so happy that we had our conversation. And if you enjoyed us, you can also watch our other video called Scorpio Being Scorpios, where we had our first interaction. We never put it on the podcast. That was stupid. All right.
This would be something for them to go back and listen to. And it'll also, like, now that you say that, I'm like, I'm definitely going to go back and watch that video because I know it exists. And I'm like, I wonder what things were like at that time and how, just like how I was carrying myself, how I was speaking, and seeing that transformation, seeing that growth has been super important for me over the last couple of weeks.
Imagine we went to see those two and said, what would happen during the year? Fuck.
Listen, because it's been quite a year. It has been quite a year. Okay.
See you next year. Yeah.
Right. This is our once in a year thing. Love you. Appreciate you.
Yes. We should do this every few months. Thank you so much for being here.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I'll stop.
Yeah.